Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Central Hounslow Area Forum. And thank you all for attending today. Start with any apologies for absence. I've now received one from Councillor Bandana Chopra and lateness from Councillor Danish Said. Have you got anything else? No. Okay. Any declaration of interest and any other communication from members? No. Okay. Moving on to agenda item number 2, minutes of the meeting. Are we all in agreement of the minutes of the meeting held on 20th of April 2023? Agreed. Moving on to agenda item number 3, which is the community safety and local policing update. I want to hand over to the police officers.
Good evening. It's Sergeant Kaz Hossainzadeh. To be honest, the update from 2 months ago is that we got a number of sergeants, officers, and PCSO coming to Hounslow. We got 3 new sergeants joining us, one for Hounslow Heath, and one for Cranford, and another one would be for the other side, Hounslow, Brentford area. We got 4 new PCSOs joining us, plus a PC for Hounslow West. So you will see the difference, kind of an improvement in number of officers. The team has been busy, lots of arrests, stop and searches, and even as S&T we don't do nights, but we have realized that there are theft of motor vehicle happening, so we have changed to night shift and done some operation. And that's it from me. If there is any questions, I can take it later on.
I'll take questions from members first, and then we'll move to the public. Councillor Chowdhury.
Thank you so much. I have seen the reports, including Hounslow South, which is not with us now. It's got a separate area forum. When are these officers joining? Because for Hounslow Heath, we're waiting a very long time now to have another officer. So when do you think they will be joining? Do you have a set date for them?
For the sergeants, they have joined 2 days ago, 2 to 3 days ago. And for Hounslow West, the officer joined a few days ago. You have seen they have done some operation as well there at Hounslow West area. But for Hounslow Heath, I don't have an answer for officer because the ad has gone for new officers to join us. We are just waiting for someone to apply.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it if we can update it on that one, on the dates.
Sure.
Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Chowdhury. Councillor Grover.
Thank you, Chair. Paul, I was already talking to you about this beggars in the High Street. Can you brief the resident about what will be happening in the High Street, please?
So my name's Paul Todd. I'm a new sergeant on the town centre team in Hounslow. I am not new to the role of sergeant. I've been a sergeant for 18 months. And just for familiarity, I've worked Hounslow from 2001 until 2013. So I worked there for 12 years. I know the dynamics of the High Street, albeit it's changed a lot, but I know the community. A couple of updates. So the begging, yesterday I walked the High Street to get a look and feel of what it's like, and there was about 5 or 6 beggars, of which predominantly there was about 3 or 4 that were from outside of the area. We've used our powers, we've moved them on, and they've gone back to the area that they live in a different part of London. They're not from our community. I noticed there was a bit of an update of violence against women and girls. Some people may be familiar with it, but Uxbridge Town Centre team, and we're looking for learning from them to use on the High Street. There's something called Ask Angela, which somebody could go into, whether it be a pub or a store, but it needs education of the staff members. And if they say, I want to speak to Angela, it means that they're in distress and they need some immediate help. So it's a bit of a code phrase. It's very early stages in Hounslow. Our licensing department have gone into some of the public houses who weren't really aware of this. So as I say, we're finding best practice from Uxbridge Town Centre to implement on the High Street. Okay.
Thank you, Councillor Kiani.
Thank you, Chair. Just wanted to know that I've got the Hounslow Heath reports, drug, ASB, theft from motor vehicle, and burglary. Can we know how many crimes were reported?
So in relation to that, I haven't got those numbers, but what I'll do, so Sergeant Mafemi, who is the Sergeant for Hounslow Heath, we can take that back and ask him to supply it to the relevant partners.
Thank you. Sorry, question from members first, then I'll come to the public. Councillor Guerrero.
Thank you. Sergeant Todd, Ask Angela is great, but why do we just have to keep it to pubs and houses? We could let most businesses know as well, so they could walk into any place, no?
So yeah, I don't, it will need the buy-in from the shops. However, I would probably suggest that it's more suitable for the bigger premises. But I don't know whether it is. I'm not going to make any false promises of we can deliver it to TK Maxx, Tesco, whatever. Like big shop is along there, but that will be our vision, that probably the bigger places that somebody's in, or we can look at a pattern of where the incidents have happened and then target those premises.
Because I'll take that up with my safety team as well, because they can come up with some sort of project to do with the high street.
It's definitely, sorry to interrupt, it's definitely going to need a buy-in from staff members of those premises.
That's good. Sorry, and the other thing I was going to ask is ASB on Alexandra Road, Ellington Road and surrounding there, is that being patrolled quite a lot? Because it's an area where it's used by school children. There are 2 gates there.
So again, that partly comes into our team strengths. For those who aren't aware, we have 1 sergeant, 1 inspector, 3 sergeants, and if we're fully strength, we're 21 PCs for that high street, which does take in 2 or 3 roads around. So we go to Inwood Park, we go to Lambton Road, and we go to Kingsley Road. Yeah, so it does take in the environs, which it is that road. Ideally, so I've got 5 PCs out there today, all in uniform. Going forward, I would like, if I had full strength, I'd like 2 plainclothes police officers patrolling up and down the high street, because as much as a uniform is a good visible deterrent, what happens is they see the police officer going towards them, pickpockets, etc. They will then stop what they're doing and then continue once we're gone. If we've got plainclothes police officers up and down the high street, that will then give us a different dynamic. In relation to Alexandra Road, I've said to our officers, we're not just tied to that high street. That is where the bulk of our issues come. We sort of displace it a bit to the surrounding roads. So once we've gone there, work between the 4 or 5 of them to then go surrounding roads.
Thank you. Councillor Junu.
Thank you, Chair. My question is, I've been requested by one of my residents to ask this question. Our police present on our street, that before we used to see a lot of police as to patrol on the road by bike or on foot, but it does not happen anymore. The residents need reassurance that they're living in a safer neighborhood. But I've been talking to one of the officers. You've already given me the answer, there's police presence there. But I want for our resident to be, to hear that from me, that what sort of policing you do on the street of Hounslow East area. Thank you.
Can I answer in relation to that? Is PC Cheeseman has just given me that road. Funnily enough, is it the one that is just at the bottom of Inwood Park? Because yes, so. And I totally agree. And yesterday, I walked down that road. Glenwood Road was on the left. I kept going towards Inwood Park. And I actually said to my colleague, I've never walked down here. I've never been called to Glenwood Road. It is my words in the 13 years that I policed it. But again, this is where part of me for those surrounding roads. I can't speak for my colleagues in the safer neighbourhood teams outside Hounslow Heath, Hounslow Central, etc. But my officers will be going off the high street, the surrounding roads, and covering every bit of our ground. So we are tied with having to backfill our response team answering 999 calls, which is not, I appreciate, not what you want to hear, but we are trying to get our numbers up. We have a problem with retention across the board.
I understand you are very busy with the various phone numbers of the street, and just now and again, if you go on the street, that will give an impression.
Yeah.
Thank you. Can I just request members to speak into their mics, please? Just so for those hearing at home. Councillor Sharma?
Is that I asked it also in the last meeting, is there any dedicated officer for my Hounslow West ward? If not, is it fair that for the last so many weeks there is no one?
Yes, I said that we have got an officer called PC Davis. He has joined Hounslow West. He was the sergeant or acting sergeant for that area. Now he's taking the role of PC for the area. And that happened from about 5-6 days ago. So he is in post. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen him yet around any.
So he just, it's about
But
a
he
week
is there.
now. He is there, yes.
All right.
Thank you. Councillor Chowdhury?
Thank you so much. It's just following on from Councillor Kiani. At the last meeting, we talked about the data, which I feel it's extremely important for us. And today, I'm happy we've got this report. But with the breakdown of ASB and other things, we'll really appreciate it if we can have it for the future meetings. And the second thing I wanted to say, now our PCSO is working extremely hard. I see him day in, day out, honestly speaking. But with your upcoming events, you have got Hounslow Central, South and West and East. I'll really appreciate it, and both of my ward colleagues as well, if we can have something within Heath as well, arranged where, you know, the residents can walk around, have coffee and talk to the police. I know they move towards Hounslow Central, but if we can hold something within Heath, it'd be really appreciated.
Sure, I'll
Thank you.
pass your comment to Sergeant Mafami.
Thank you. Councillor Bhatti?
Thank you, Chair. My question to Sergeant is, would you be reading this report that you compiled here for the benefit of all the attendees here, so they can question on the work you've done and the issues that you've got in certain wards? I think it's important that this is read out, and also there's a graph and there will be areas that people would like to question. Thank you.
Could I ask, so in relation to that report, I don't think you've got all the data there. It's probably not what you want to hear, but we've had a massive change. So could I ask that if we come prepared with everything next time, because we've had people in post, as I say, I've been in post for a week now, however, only 2 days of that due to rest days, etc. And then now we've got everyone in place, supervisor-wise, we can provide good data and then invite questions next time. Would that be acceptable to yourselves?
Yes, that's fine. Thank you for explaining that. But here we already have all the issues that in the agenda, and the public may have not seen it. That's what my question was. Will you be able to read it out so people can question fairly?
The agenda is public, so
Well,
members of the public can go onto the website and find the agenda.
okay, thank you.
If that's all from the members, I'd like to open it up to the floor. If any members of the public have any questions for the police. Yeah, this gentleman in the third row. They're going to give you a mic. Just give him 1 minute.
So the rules haven't changed. It's still 3 points, and we'll take that back to Is that yourself, Kaz? Hounslow Central?
Hounslow Central,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, thank you, sir, and we'll make a note of it and we'll take that back and try and enforce that to prevent, because that does cause a safety issue for us.
Thank you. I think there was a lady on the first row. Had their hand up. Sorry, the gentleman on the first row.
I'm doing business in Feltham and Feltham High Street. There's small, I'm one of the landlords of one of the buildings, and we have a continuous problem with law, because people come and my own shop was twice robbed. They took everything away. And we set up a lot of equipment there for a fast food, and they took everything away. So many times, and in certain cases, we even have video recording. If you go into the record, you'll be able to find so many cases I've filed. Nothing has happened. That's number one. Number two, once a police officer, he misbehaved completely badly. And that was a few years back. I filed a complaint in your police hierarchies. There's some organization. After 5 years, nothing has happened. Not even once somebody has contacted me.
So the department I've come from used to deal with...
and I've got video recording of that officer.
Okay. The department I've come from was the operations room, so we get calls and we triage complaints. So we would call you back.
You're most welcome. I'm sure that after 7 years, nothing has happened, so let's see.
Were you saying this was 5 years ago?
That was 5 years. For 7 years, things have been happening in that area at night.
So I'd encourage you, if you don't hear within 48 hours from an officer, to call back. I appreciate that's not what you want to hear, but if you don't hear within 48 hours, call back 101, stating that you want to make a complaint, because we invite people to make a complaint because we don't want inappropriate behavior.
My concern is only that the working should be improved, that's all. Whatever has happened to me, I've taken the loss.
So in relation to the complaint about officers, you should be hearing back really within
Nothing happened.
8 to 16 hours.
Yes.
We will try 3 times, or what I used to do is try 3 times, leave a voice message, send a text. If there's an email, I'll then contact them and say, we've tried to contact you, please call us back. But I apologise if that hasn't happened. But if you don't hear within 48 hours, then please
all right, thank you.
Call
That's
back.
all I want.
Yeah.
Thank you. Can I just request one from members of the public? Try not to bring any personal issues or complaints you have to the police. This is a general forum for the whole area. Thank you. This is a gentleman on the front row here. Please.
Hello. Yeah, I live just opposite to the main gate of the Lambton Park. And I see roughly, not every week, but every second week, there's a lot of police around Lambton Park. And this is happening since ages now, because I lived there since last 30 years. And I keep asking my friends, why not the police take any preventive measures, like putting the camera and frequent rounds, and something that stop any criminal activities into the Lambton Park? Because maybe you are familiar with that every week somebody comes there, 2 police cars, 3 police cars in front of the Lambton Park. And plus there is no light in the Lambton Park. We keep asking, at least at the night time, put some solar lights in Lambton Park so we can see what is inside. And please, and every, I think, month or second month, please knock on my door and say, is any camera working there? Can you provide the video? I do help the police a lot. But I request that do some preventive measures, plus tell us how to make the neighbor watch organization so we can do something ourselves as well. So that is the thing what I think is need urgent measures to be taken. Thank you.
I would also ask for some buy-in from the local authority for cameras.
Yeah, the issue for local lighting, that's a council issue, not a police issue. So if you want to hold that to the open forum, and one of us will get back to you about that. Yeah, but that's not a police issue. Putting up lighting and stuff.
Crime is not a police issue.
No,
that
putting lighting in a park is not a police issue,
not
it's a local
lot,
authority
I just
issue.
give a example that it
I
has
understand
to
what you're
be
saying, sir.
given to mayor.
I understand, but like I'm saying to you, that's not a police issue, that's a local authority issue. So we will come back to you on that in the open forum.
If I may, in relation to that, sir, what we can do is try and enhance our patrols around there. I'm not going to make false promises of we're going to have cops everywhere, because realistically, to manage expectation, that's not going to happen. But if you raise an issue about, and yeah, if Lambton Park, because it's such a big area, if we get an incident in there, you will have an influx of cars to try and manage that. But the simple fact of if we had a couple of PCSOs on bikes going through, it's the visible deterrent. So that I'll make a note of that, and we can feed it back and try and get some enhanced patrols at the same time, working with the council to try and get some lighting, some CCTV.
I think Councillor Grewal wants to speak on your question.
Thank you, Chair. Dr. Ali, I will talk to the ward councillors about this. This comes under Heston East Ward. I'll speak to them. Camera, yes, we managed to do camera in our Inwood Park and Hounslow East Park. We've done that, and camera can be arranged. Light, I was told they're trying to protect the birds and that thing in the park, so that's why they don't want too much light in the park. That's the reason they look into that, but that's the reason they gave me. But camera, yes, we look into that definitely. No, we can definitely look into that. We have done it in other parks. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm going to take 2 more questions,
Yeah.
and then we'll move on to the next agenda item. I think there's a person behind on the 3rd row, just before this lady. We'll come to you in a minute, sir.
Good evening, councillors. Good evening, Sergeant. I live in Hounslow for many years, and I used to live in Hounslow Central behind this building, and also in Hounslow West. We felt that those apartments very, very safe. Now, but recently we moved into the new developments that have happened near the Lambton Park, and ours is the ground floor flat facing the Lambton Park. Daytime, we see a lot of police vehicles, so thank you for that. In the night, we don't know whether any patrols happening in the Clovelly Road to Civic Road. You may be doing it already. If you're doing it already, great. But if not, can you take that as a request to have night patrols in the road, the Clovelly Road side? Because at that side, it'll be very deserted in the nights, and it'll be good to have at least 2 or 3 patrol.
Sorry, sir, just the road name again for me, please.
Clovelly Road, which is it is in the area where the Civic Center was there earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, now there's new community there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lambton Parkside Development. We moved into one of the ground floor flats. It's facing Lambton Park.
A bit north of Heston East.
No, it's right here. It's like 5 minutes from here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and because our apartments are in the ground floor and it's facing the Lambton Park, in the nights it'll be deserted. As Sir said, it'll be very dark and deserted on that side. I've seen police vans, police cars in the daytime, but in the nights, when you do patrolling in the Lambton Road, if you can cover that place as well, that'll be really useful. So it's a request from me.
So it's excuse me. It's a bit hard to task our emergency response teams because they're responding to 999 calls and 101. Can I narrow down sort of timings? If it's up until 2 o'clock, for example, then or 2 a.m., then maybe we could take that as part of the town centre, not far off our patch. If it's quiet and we can move across because we're on till 2 a.m. If not, maybe some targeted patrols by the safer neighbourhood who can then work a bit later, adjust their shifts. Right.
Thank you. There's
that's
the lady in the second row.
quite tricky.
Yeah, we can go to him.
If the police or anyone could look, go to Asda car park or go to the car park behind King's Heath, and you'll see a black SUVs pull up. And ladies will get out and they will go and sit on every corner in Hounslow begging. They don't come from our borough. They come in big, flat, new cars. Where are they coming from? We've got drugs being dealt in the car park at the back of our flats. The officer down there knows I've reported it before.
Sir, can the car that you make reference to every Friday, what sort of timings are they?
SUVs, they're black Mercedes.
What do you have a time frame that we can sort of again target a certain area?
It's usually between 7:30 and 8 o'clock.
In the evening?
Well, they leave in the evening, I suppose. I don't know when
No,
they go.
sorry,
I
when
don't watch them all day.
Do they arrive at 7:30 in the morning or 7:30?
In the morning.
Right, okay.
They're at every corner. If you go along that high street, you will see them sitting by the bank.
Yeah.
Anywhere where there's a box.
So I think that's some of the ones that we moved on yesterday.
Yeah.
I would
won't
imagine
move.
it's
See,
these
they will
people that...
All they would do, they'd know that you've moved them and they'll be back here next week. They know that you haven't got... It's not your fault. It's the fact that they're not giving us enough police in the borough.
So what we are doing, sir, is when we move people on, we're taking their details, we keep a record of it, and if that becomes a pattern of behaviour, then we look at other legislation that we can then use that comes with a power of arrest.
You see the drugs in the car park, we see them with ourselves, because every time we see them now, if I see them from my window or Ken or one of the others see them, we shout out drugs and they go. They go away.
I wish that worked for me, sir.
Thank you, sir. We got one more. This lady in the second row, and then I'm going to take one from the gentleman at the back, and then I think that's it.
Okay, so I know that the forum is kind of split for when we attack you guys. I have got questions. I know I've got some questions that were raised off the last forum that we did with the police. I know that in the report that's on the agenda available to everyone, you still have high sexual offences, you still have the high rates for crime like ASBOs, etc., around central Hounslow and spilling out into the south region, west and the north of Hounslow. Did ask last time as well what preventive measures you're doing. And I know, like we've alluded to, having more cameras up, which you're saying is a council-based issue. But if the preventive measure is in the benefit to make up for the lack of available manpower, like public areas like parks, park entrances, around flats, car parks, is that something that the police can sort of add a bit more weight to get put up as a security measure, preventive measure? The second part of my question was, are you guys doing anything towards the educational piece that I did raise last time as well? I know you weren't here yourself, but to go out to local schools, start from the actual young, the people that are probably the most influenced with sort of like your drug influence and silent crimes. Are you doing anything to go out actively to follow up on educating your future generation of Hounslow, as well as much as attacking the residents that you've got already in the area? And then the third part of my slight question is just, what else have you had that's actually been brought down? Because the actual agenda, if I read the report correctly, it's not glowing that there's been much change. I appreciate you've only just had the recruits come through now, so they'll have a bit of training before they make any real difference. But is there anything else that you're doing or you've got actively in place to bring our crime rates down within Hounslow area?
So, as you state, I wasn't here at the last one. I don't know about the preventative measures. You make a valid point about trying to get into the youth. From what I see in the high street and what I've read in the previous reports, there was an issue with school kids all up and down the high street. Again, only being here 1 week, I haven't seen that at all in the high street the last couple of days. My understanding was between 3 and 5, there was a big presence. but I'm not naive to the fact that that may be to do with McDonald's is being renovated at the minute, which used to be a previous gathering point. So that may be part of we may see that rear its head again. The education side of it, I don't know. I'm going to take that away and try and find out.
I think Councillor Grewal can help you with that one, if she wants to.
Yeah, regarding that, we do that already. The police do go to schools and talk to them. But apart from that, we in Brentford Football Stadium, we held a summit with all the schools there, and the police and all the partners were there educating them, and that went down really, really well. It was reported in Hounslow Matters and online if you want to read how the youngsters took to that. And also, every year we do what's called a young citizen scheme, which used to be held just in Cranford School. And every school sends the kids there. And they are educated with all our partners, with the police there, crime prevention, violence against women and girls, every sort of crime you can think of, they are educated towards how they can be safe, and even like online, because they go into dark webs and this and that. So the education bit is going ahead, and we are doing that really forcefully. This time, citizenship scheme was not just in Brentford School. They held it in Australian Grasshoppers as well, and they had primary school children there as well. So that is going ahead, and it is going down well. It's within the schools. All the schools notify the parents and everybody, and then they send the children.
Oh, don't worry, I've got a loud hog-born voice anyway. Is to get them out. I know that we've got Hounslow Masjid, like a representative here today, but going out to our religious sort of places of worship, Gurdwara, the mosque, they'll be very open for you guys to come out, because then you're not just targeting kids and parents, it's whole communities. And I know it's another cost and it's another job when you haven't got the time or the manforce, but definitely got volunteers here. I've said this on the last one as well. You ask, you'll get the communities involved.
So we actually have, dedicated schools officers to all the senior schools who visit there, they have contact with them. I'm pretty sure we still have a faith liaison officer that is dedicated to the mosques, to the temples, who make regular contact. Maybe that's something that we can feed back to them about, speaking to the children a bit more, rather than just be that go-to of we have this issue, that issue, etc. So I'll take that and feed that back to our faith. Yeah.
No worries. Thank you. I'll take the last question from the gentleman there with his hand up.
Thank you, Chair. Just a quick question. Obviously, the level of policing has always been a concern for the borough. So it's really great to see that we're going to have an increase in police presence. Is that a permanent fix, or is that just a temporary measure?
I hope I've just come into a role I like. I hope it's a permanent fix. But numbers are only going to increase. We do have a problem with retention, but there's a massive recruitment drive. In terms of the safer neighbourhoods, they've just put a lot of sergeants in place to then manage the PCs and get numbers up. So it's not a temporary fix.
Is it a recruitment issue, or is it budgetary constraints as well?
I can't answer that. I would suggest that away from that, the Met aren't at their target of numbers. We would like more cops, but I can't answer whether it's a budget issue.
Thank you.
Sorry, as Cabinet Member for Safety, I have had meetings with the Commander, and it is just recruitment issues at the moment. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Grewal. That'll be all for the police for today. Thank you guys for attending.
Thank you.
and taking the questions. Moving on to agenda item number 4. We have Michelle and Kate from the Thriving Communities Fund.
Good evening, everybody. Very nice to see so many of you here today. So my name's Kate Wilson. I work for the council and I look after the Thriving Communities grant funding, which is our grant funding which is accessible to community groups, charities and groups of residents to do positive things in the community. So I'm going to just run through, I've got some slides to run through the different funds that we have available. Great, so we have 4 funds that I'm going to just talk to you about this evening, and then hopefully there's some time for questions. Great, so the first fund that I was going to mention this evening is the Your Neighbourhood Fund. So this is of interest to our councillors who are here this evening because this is their fund that they have available. This round is all about creating a legacy in the community. So we're thinking about physical improvements to an area. So it might be war memorials, sites of historical interest, installing planters, benches, that kind of thing. Improvements to the community infrastructure. So that could be something like a youth club needs some more chairs and tables or sports equipment. Activities which involve the community in improving their environment, so things like litter picks and planting events, or community art installations or exhibitions. So this is about getting people together to produce artwork that might be then displayed in the local community. So it may seem far away. The closing date is the 12th of January, so it is still quite far away, but we're wanting to bring this to you guys at the forum so that you have the opportunity to share any ideas that you have to improve your community with your ward councillors, and equally if ward councillors hear from other members of their wards about things that they want improving, this could be a good avenue for that. So there's 1,000 per ward councillor available, and if councillors would like to team up to do things, that's also something we can look at too. So the next, sorry, just checking my slides are moving. So the next fund that we have available are the small grants. So this is the most sort of open and accessible fund. So if you are a group of residents, you might have some neighbours who'd like to do something together, you are able to apply for up to £1,000. And we have some broad priority areas, but we're quite open to hearing your ideas. So it could be something that's green and environmental. It could be focused on health and well-being, community engagement. So, for example, you could do sort of street parties, events. You might want to do sort of sessions for parents on health and education, that kind of thing. And also projects targeted at people on housing estates. So this one is really open, and I'd encourage anyone who has an idea about something they'd like to do in the community to contact us. It's open on a rolling basis, so you can apply any time and you'll get a decision within 4 weeks, usually a bit quicker because we try to get the funding out into the community as quickly as possible. I will go on to share some examples of some projects a little bit later as well, some things that we funded in your wards. So we also have the revenue grants. These are our bigger project grants. These are for charitable organisations. So if there's anyone here who's involved with a local charity, this could be something that might be of interest to you. So we run 2 rounds of this funding per year. We've recently closed one, so we'll be making our decisions on those quite soon. And the next one's expected to open in September. So we set different priorities for this each time. And we do this by collaborating closely with our colleagues across the council to identify some of the key needs and gaps in provision in our communities so that we can really try and make the biggest difference possible with the funding that we have available. And you can see a few examples of the priorities that we had this round. I won't run through those, but broadly speaking, they do follow our ambitions for Hounslow. And then finally, we've got the capital grants. So residents who have an idea for something bigger in the community that they'd like to improve. So this could be something like a local community centre. You're thinking this looks a bit run down. We'd love to have some redecoration, maybe a few new tables, a new kitchen, that kind of thing. If you notice this and you think this is something the community needs, you can come forward with an expression of interest. So the Capital Fund has 2 stages. The first is just that expression of interest, literally just the opportunity to submit your idea, give us a little bit of information about what you'd like to do. Then myself and my colleague Michelle will take that away, have a chat internally, and we'll see if that's something that we can help make happen, whether or not that's by linking you up with the relevant council team who might then go on to manage a project, or if you're a charitable organisation that would like to sort of run the project yourself, you can also do it that way. So if we think this is something we could possibly fund, then we'll ask for a fuller application, and that will include all the costings and quotes and all that kind of thing. And again, you can submit an idea at any time, and we're always happy to have a conversation with you on the phone, or if it's appropriate, we can come down and visit you or visit the space. Really happy to do that. And we've got a few examples of some of the projects that we funded in this area. So these were all funded in the last financial year. So we supported Hounslow Arts Centre. The picture is of their new bathroom. And refurbishment of the toilets. I know it's not very glamorous, but I think it was something that the community really wanted. Through our revenue fund, we funded an organisation called Hounslow Fab, and they run a youth club for young people with disabilities. They're a brilliant organisation. And then the small grant, we awarded a group of residents some funding to run a series of health and wellbeing workshops that were particularly targeted at the Somali community. So that's just an example of one thing that residents have come forward with. We funded many more organisations for a huge variety of different things. So if you are interested in applying, our contact details are included in the slide pack here. So my name's Kate again, and my colleague Michelle. We're the 2 people that you can talk to about this. All of our application information is on the website, so you can access the guidance notes, but if you'd like to make an application, you just need to pop us an email and we'll send you the relevant forms. And again, we're very happy to have a chat, because sometimes, if you haven't ever applied for funding before, it can be a little bit daunting, and we just want to make the process as easy as possible for you. I think that's it. Yes. Any questions?
Thank you, Kate. The members have any questions? No, any questions from the public? Yep. Wait for the mic.
Saying if you're doing wanting to apply for any grants for rehabilitation services for like cancer patients who are coming out of their treatment, is there any kind of requirement to get any sort of medical expert onto the 6 that you mentioned that you need to put down an application?
Yeah, I mean, my initial feeling is for something like that, which is quite specialist, the more expertise that you can have is the better, really. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
But if you need to talk to us at a later point, if that idea is something that you want to take forward, then obviously
we've got a project but the problem is venues becomes a bit of a hassle, so we kind of look for free venues at the moment. But it'd be good to know if that's something that you guys could help us sort of locate a safe space to use.
Yeah, I'd say definitely get in touch with us. We're very well clued up, not just myself and Michelle, but obviously our community development team who are running this event are very clued up about what might be available, and we can just have a chat about anything we think might be suitable to help.
Thank you. Any other questions? I think there's one just towards the middle on the left.
Hello, good evening, everybody. I would like to say thank you to the London Borough of Hounslow for the funding they provide, which make such a difference to the community, and always it helps to improve the green spaces or any areas. I mean, It's very hard work due to language barriers to our BME communities. Uh, Apply for the funding and make a better and successful application, although the organizations are working very hard, but without the funding, we can't take a step forward. And even in future and now, the borough will be proud of the people, how hard they are working, how we are working shoulder to shoulder with the council. And we are proud to say thank you to London Borough of Hounslow to making all these grants successful and making tremendous difference to the community and to the borough as well. So thank you, London Borough of Hounslow.
Thank you.
Thanks, Shawnjeet.
Can I just ask, are you from any particular organization?
Sunshine of Hounslow. We are in the aim of building 50 raised beds at the Way Avenue. So people with the low income, they can grow their own food for free. We will build them, provide them, but thanks to the London Borough of Hounslow for funding to make us to achieve what we want to provide to the community. And all of the councillors, I would like to thank you for supporting the organizations. Because of you, we can step forward every time. So Sunshine of Hounslow really would like to thanks to all the councillors and the London Borough of Hounslow to supporting us to move forward. And we will make sure you will see the pride of the community and our work as well. So thank you once again.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Do you have any other questions? No, I think that's all. Thank you, Kate, for that presentation. And if we could move on finally to the last agenda item, which is the open forum. Does the public have any questions? I think there's one gentleman at the back there, and then I'll come to you.
A quick question to you, Chair. You said that the agenda is public when a reference was made to the police question. Not all the public has got access to the online service. How do they actually get the agenda? Question one, because there is quite a large number of public who are not capable or able to use the service. Secondly, this meeting is also to involve the public. Tell me if I'm wrong, but if it is, how is it actually publicized to the public? To the best of my knowledge, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's available online, and some of your councillors take care to advise residents' association of the forthcoming meetings. But short of that, there's no other availability from the council. Now, the council has a legal duty to ensure that it provides for those who are incapable of doing it. Thank you.
Thank you. There's two parts to your question. I'll answer the first one first. The first one being, if you can't access the agenda, we do have printed copies on either side. So if anyone needed a printed copy, you could request one. Second part of your question, in regards to publication, the community development team is here. So I think he can answer that question for you.
Yeah, hello. Sorry, do you want me to answer the question and pass it back? Yeah, sure. So in terms of how we promote it, I've got a team of 5 officers. Amoy, who has organised this event today. She is responsible for Central Hounslow. So the way in which we promote it, in addition to being online and through the networks that we have, like the Resident Association Forum and the various TRAs, etc., we have a text messaging service, which is linked up with the GP text messaging service. So I think many people that have turned up today have had a text come through which has announced it. The team also do leaflet drops, and the team also speak to councillors, go out on the street, talk to as many people as they possibly can. We also have various social media tweets and things like that. So we're still working on improving our communications platforms and the way in which we get the message out and any support that people can provide. And thank you so much to those of you who are in WhatsApp groups and shared it amongst your neighbours and colleagues. That's been a tremendous help getting the word out. So any suggestions on improvement would be very welcome, and I'll pass you back. Thank you.
You stated the agenda printed is available. I didn't see any, and I wasn't aware there is any.
If you, as he mentioned, there's loads of members around you. If you requested one, there's one printed here. There's a batch of them over there.
This,
if you
this
request
is
them, we can give them
after
out.
the meeting, not before the meeting. The agenda is only useful prior to
But the agenda's been there prior to the meeting. And even if a couple of days in advance you want to come in, the library's open, we could get a printed agenda for you. My contacts on the emails. A lot of the councillors have the agenda. We could get it sent out to you. So apologies. If that's all from you, sir, moving on to there's one lady in the second row, please.
Sorry, I've pushed in because I did volunteer, put my hand up second. This is not actually an individual case. I've lived in front of Lambton Park for 35 years. My children have used that park. My grandchildren have used that park. And I believe, and I appeal to all the councillors and all the council workers here, that prevention is better than cure. I've seen incidents of Lambton school children being handed envelopes and handing little envelopes back to people. This in front of the gates. And while I think, yes, we should protect the birds, I think we should protect the humans and provide safety access with lighting. It could be solar lighting. It won't cost you a penny in bills, just the initial cost of putting these in. People use this to go across the park. There's, I think, 4 exits and 4 entrances, maybe 5. And we've had people coming to us for ring recordings because the equipment has been stolen from the park at night. To be honest, I've been to third world country parks better than Lambton Park. It's a jewel. It's a beautiful green area in our borough. It's gone downhill. My dog's had to be pulled away from spent injection needles. He's been pulled away from alcohol, broken glass bottles. And I'm just really, really upset about this. It's not just for me, it's for all our neighbours, the children in Hounslow, where we live. And do something about it, please.
Yeah, Councillor. Yeah, Councillor.
Thank you very much. I've heard earlier on gentlemen talking about the lighting in the park and the camera as well. What I can do, when I was previously lead member for parks, I sorted out Inwood Park, like you've said, we're working on Hounslow Heath, and we did some work in Hanworth Park as well. What I can do, I can speak to Salman Shaheen, who is our lead member for parks, and he's the best person for us to work with him and bring some updates for the future meetings, how we can tackle this issue within the Lambton Park and what we can do with lighting from our end.
Over the years, when I became internet equipped, I have gone online to Hounslow Council. I have filled in surveys, requested someone to look at this situation and make this park a beautiful place for us, especially in summer evenings, but I've never had an answer.
Now I'll definitely work on it. Our 260 open spaces and green spaces, they're beautiful. All of them are in the borough, and we're lucky to have all these green spaces, including the allotments. So I will speak to Councillor Shaheen, and we'll work on it with all the area forum officers and councillors, and we'll update you soon. I'd appreciate if you can leave your email address and phone number at the end with one of us.
Thank you. The gentleman on the front row had a question. Just wait for the mic, please.
Yeah, my question is because I'm from Feltham and Feltham High Street, basically. I represent not only myself but a big piece of shops in that area. We have serious issues. I want to know which councillor and how should we approach so our problems are resolved.
Yeah. No problem.
Thank you very much. I don't know if it was quite well advertised. You've had in the Feltham Assembly Hall, we've had our radio forum there as well for the Feltham area. I can give you the details for all Feltham councillor by checking your address, which we've got Feltham West, Feltham North, Hanworth and Hanworth Park Ward. So I can give you the address. You can directly contact them, or you can pass the message on to me, and I will pass it on to your councillors. No problem. If you pass it on to me after the meeting, I will take your details and I will forward it to them. Thank you.
Sorry, if it's crime related and it's police related, I'm cabinet member for safety, so if you get in touch with me, Councillor Ajmer Garibal, I'll try and sort it. So if you get it, well, yeah.
Just if you could get in contact with the Councillor Grower, and then we come to that afterwards. Lady on the second row.
Yeah, there's one thing that I really wanted to cover off, which was the cycle and e-scooter introductions that are coming into certain areas. But just to sort of go back to the first gentleman who asked a question, I know that you've got printed out versions available, and I know that you advertise and you've used neighbourhood wardens to try and get as many people out. I think the point is that if you don't have digital and you're not really familiar, old-fashioned notice boards, public spaces, somewhere in the Hounslow High Street, anywhere near the job centre, anywhere that you've got notice boards, park boards, community boards, that kind of presence. And it might actually mean, when you do your sort of council election sort of reminders, etc., put something on the bottom of that. We've got meetings that are coming up. If you'd like to know more or any agendas, pop into Hounslow Civic Centre. So I was just going to add to the point he was trying to raise, is that it's all very well having the printed out versions here, but the meeting's already taken place. And then the actual point I wanted to ask and address the councillors was, we're introducing cycle racks and e-scooters, which is great. However, a lot of our residential area roads, even in Central, are not wide enough for the additional racks that you're putting in right on the corners. And now I've counted about 7 today. I have got in touch with someone. I've got a contact now to send the details to, but the planning for this and the way you guys get your objections from residents or their comments, how realistic is it? What is your time frame? Giving people 30 days to try and respond back to something that turns up 2 weeks before the deadline is not a sensible sort of way of sort of being diplomatic with people and trying to give them their space to give their comments. But before you even make a suggestion, does anyone from the council actually go out to the physical road and check how suitable it is and try and take a turning? Because I've seen some of these racks have gone up in places where I'm thinking a singular car is not going to go down, let alone 2 cars on both sides trying to do a turning at the same time if that cycle rack is there. So what's the consideration behind these going in? The environment to one side, the logic of where they've been placed.
I don't have the answer to that question because I'm not too sure on cycle racks. It's not really my forte, but I can take your contact number and we'll come back to you with an answer for that, if that's okay. I think Councillor Gray was saying Councillor Dunn is the cabinet member for that one. If you just come to the end and then I'll give you all the relevant contact details. Thank you. The lady in the 3rd row, and then I'll come to you, sir. I'll come to you after. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I would really like to know that I had a letter from council regarding placing the cycle stand right outside my accommodation. It's not that they are asking me for the opinion, but they are literally implementing that. So there is no pre-consultation has been done. So how can they just implement something without even having consent from the local residents? And that might even cause the antisocial behavior because it's right outside near the school. As it is, there is a lot of antisocial behavior takes place in that area. Till today, I have lived in this area for nearly 35 years, and I don't even know who is my local councillor. So it really makes me think that I hope somebody takes notice of it, and before even placing a single cycle stand there, please do come and talk to me. Thank you.
Thank you. If you tell us the area, we'll have a look into it.
Yes, I will.
Thank you. But I'm sure it does go into a consultation phase at first. So you do get letters with contacts on it, so you can write objections and stuff. Okay, we'll look into it. Thank you. Done?
I thought so, because you should have really asked me, not just saying you are going to do the trial basis. That's what I have been told.
Okay, we'll look into it. Thank you.
Could you just tell me what representations the council has made to Transport for London to make Hounslow Central Station step-free? If your mobility is poor, it's a very difficult station to negotiate. I know Hounslow West and Hounslow East have lifts, but they're quite a long way to walk if you're in Hounslow Central. That's the main question I wanted to ask. There's one minor one. People have raised issues about parks. In Lambton Road, opposite Central House, 3 Lambton Road, there's a large flower bed which is presumably maintained by the council. It's on a public pavement. It's actually weed-strewn, litter-strewn. It's rarely maintained. What is the policy of the council to its publicly maintained spaces? Because right outside Hounslow House, you must be walking past. What notice do you take of the environment? Thank you.
In regards to your question about TfL, I'll have to speak to our cabinet member for transport and come back to you on that one. But in regards to the litter one that you were saying, there's an app, I'd encourage everyone to download it. It's called Fix My Street. If it's any litter dumping or anything, this with Hounslow Highways, they work quite efficiently. No problem. If you come to us afterwards and you just give us the address, we can report it to Hounslow Highways and get it.
A flower bed outside 3 Lambton Road.
No
It's
problem.
not litter, it's just not maintained by the council, and it has been planted by the council in the past.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, can I just interrupt? Can we make sure that we're speaking into the microphone? Just your views are really important, and we just want to make sure that we're capturing them. That's all. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your question regarding the flower beds. If you leave your detail, I'm actually going out that way. I'll have a look at it. But you've got 2 ward councillors here as well for Hounslow Centre, Councillor Rajmir Girewal and Pritam. You can speak to them as well, and they'll be happy to work on it for you. Thank you.
There's a right at the back over there.
On the point of Hounslow Central Station, a few years ago they did decorate the station and make it better for everybody. And I phoned up TfL and asked if there was going to be a lift or escalators there, because I find it very difficult to go up and down stairs. And they said to me, Hounslow West and Hounslow East have got a lift, so they weren't going to put a lift in Hounslow Central, and I was to get to a bus to those stations if I wanted to get a lift.
So, I'll let Pritam answer that one.
Hi. Can you please leave your details with us, and we'll come back to you on that one. Yeah? I'll
Thank
talk to the member of the member who's doing it. Catherine Dunn. I'll
Catherine
speak to
Dunn.
Catherine Dunn, but leave your details with us, please. I'll speak to you after the meeting. Yeah.
I think there's the lady again.
No, you've got a gentleman behind the lady. She's already.
Hi, I do agree with this gentleman and the lady up there. Hounslow West lift doesn't work because I travel every day. It's only Hounslow East. So if I'm living in Hounslow Central, for me, Hounslow Central Station and Hounslow West one, I had to climb the stairs up and down both sides. And people who have a mobility, like myself probably, and this gentleman and that lady, how we are going to commute? And I go to work every day. So I do find it difficult. You really need to have functional lift, if that's what you want us to use. Thank you. It's just packed away in a Hounslow West, I can assure you that, because I see that every day.
Thank you. Yes, Councillor.
Yeah. Again, sorry, I didn't catch your name. What's your name? Yeah. Please see me after the meeting. I need your details. But TFL, we do approach them, but we have no sort of power over them. They are different sort of people there. But talk to me, please. I'll give you the details of the lead member who's dealing with it, and we will pass your concern to them.
East Station, and there's a lift in Hounslow West
Yeah,
Station.
yeah.
When Hounslow West Station lift, as long as I remember, hasn't worked for years.
That's fine. I mean, we can only pass your concern to them, and give your details to us, and we'll pass your concern to TFL. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm going to take the lady on the back left when I come to you next.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Thank you to Councillor Pritam Gruel, who has sorted out many issues in our road recently, which is Holly Road in Hounslow. But I would like to bring up that we did have a consultation with regards to parking issues in roads surrounding the High Street. We get a lot of people parking down our road on a Saturday afternoon to go up to the shops and to avoid paying parking charges in the car parks. And we also get a lot of parking after 6 o'clock in the road as well. And I know it's the case also in Alexandra Road and other roads on the other side. We had a consultation which covered quite a wide area, and people who weren't affected by the parking issue that we are affected by. And we would like to ask if it's possible to please look at that again, but not the same way that it was looked at before, because obviously if you're not affected by it, you're not going to be worried about it. And it is something which is, you know, a real pain for the people who are paying for those parking permits. And I feel as though we would benefit with those extended hours, but you would also benefit because you would be, more people would be paying for parking permits, and you would also be, you know, raking in more revenue with regards the car parks. So I just think it would be a, you know, a win-win for everybody, but certainly for the people. Thank you.
Can I come back to you on that, Chair, through to Chair?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that. I have actually spoken to the officer today regarding this, and there are some other areas around the High Street, this side of as well. And the issue is, we have done a consultation on this side already, and there was not good response for that. I'm working with the officer again, and hopefully we'll do another consultation very soon. The problem is, you have to work with us. We'll go there and talk to people. People are not responding. And the officers cannot work until they have a reasonable response back. So, yes, I'm prepared to work with you guys, and we'll hopefully get as much response from people. And last time, from this side of the High Street, we have a 5% feedback. And officers cannot work on 5%. They can be challenged in the court if they make a decision. So we will do that again. Definitely, I'm putting a lot of pressure on them. Hopefully, they'll do it soon. And then, I'm sorry, as many people can help us to talk to the residents. I know people can, you know, if it's not affecting them, they will be sort of, oh, ignore that. But we have to convince them it's affecting others. So I'm really happy to work with you and other people. So we'll hopefully bring it soon.
Thank you. This gentleman over there.
Thank you, Chair. Just like to flag a concern about the maintenance of the graveyards. I visited the Borough Cemetery a few days back and the grass was quite overgrown. I'm not too sure how often it's actually trimmed. It's quite disheartening actually when you go and visit your loved ones and it looks quite untidy. I don't know if that could be flagged to the relevant people.
I think Councillor Chowdhury has the answer to that one.
Thank you very much. I think yourself, myself and Councillor Shaheen, we've had a conversation regarding the both cemeteries, Powder Mill Lane and especially the Hatton one. With the grass, I think it's slightly overdue, but I had a call from someone 3-4 days ago regarding that, and I've put it in through the casework. I can update you soon, but I think it should be cut soon. It was done about a couple of months back, if I'm right, but we'll update you directly. Thank you. Hatton was done yesterday. Powder Mill Lane will be soon, because I went to Powder Mill Lane yesterday morning to see my mum. Thank you.
I think there's one in the far back. Should I the lady hand up?
This is going back to the parking situation. Why is it that central Hounslow, the parking area is massive? You've got people that live near Star Road and they can park in central Hounslow, so they come over, park in my road and then go to work all day. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. I've never seen a borough where the area is massive. That's the problem. You don't need all these consultations. You just need to make the area smaller. Any other area, you don't have about, 20 roads all having the same parking permits. It's ridiculous.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, we are already working on it. Okay, thank you for that. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. I already said that we are not getting enough response so officer can work on it. That's what. No, let me finish, please. We cannot do anything like that without consultation. And listen, this is what the process is. Just we have done a consultation in certain areas. I will ask the officer to do it sort of wider area as well. We are thinking of making small zones so people can only park within that zone. We are working on, that's why we're working on it. But we cannot do anything without consultation, and the officer need a good response on that.
Thank you. Just the lady in there. If you could just wait for the mic, please.
Sorry. Is it on? Yeah, the first consultation was actually flawed. It was done, I think, in about 2017, and it covered a very, very wide area. People were consulted who lived nowhere near Hounslow Central. Obviously, they have no interest in reducing the size of the zone because they could live in Spring Grove and come and park in Hounslow Central in our streets. The second consultation, we didn't, for some reason, the council said that they were going to divide the Hounslow Central into 2 zones to take account of that. That was just shelved. We weren't given any reason. A second consultation was done, and it was flawed as well. Some key central roads were omitted from the survey. And I think we've had enough consultations, to be honest. We need some commonsensical decisions from the council.
Okay, thank you. We'll make a note of that and come back to you. I think there's the front row. Come to you next.
It's just because someone's raised it, it's now in my head. There's a lot of traffic strips that have gone out around the area. For anyone who is savvy, we know the car counters to figure out traffic routes and anything that you're doing consultations as a council. Residents wouldn't necessarily be aware of it. There's a load there in South Hounslow coming into Central, which I think a part of my conspiracy theory is a wider plan to have set routes for the environment to sort of discourage people from having their cars. But is the council realistically, because it ties in with the parking issue, I'm going to safely assume you guys did a consultation for a larger area because you thought residents who around Hounslow need to park their cars to go use tube stations, etc. But if I was a resident who lived on a real central road, I know I would not want my space if I can't afford to move away from the house, because when I come back, that parking space won't be there. When you do a consultation, if you're ever planning to do them, it's the resident that's impacted that needs to be asked. And then the wider areas that so if you're going to consult them generally about the lack of parking, the affordability of some of your car parks, then they wouldn't need to move their car off. Make it safer routes for people to travel down. Half the routes I wouldn't want to walk down, even if I had all the will of wanting to doing my exercise per day. I still wouldn't want to walk down them. They're not safe enough. Lighting is a major issue. Half your lampposts don't work, or the new sort of replacement ones that you had from 30 years ago, which actually shone some light. These ones, you still have to take your phone out to get your torch out. It's using, I'm asking, when you do consultations, genuinely consider the person who will be impacted. And then when you do a consultation where you need to consider all your Hounslow residents, is think about, okay, if parking or a road is going to be limited to who can use it to being the nearest resident, what parking facility, what transport facility, so please do get in touch with TfL to ask them about improving our so-called 15-minute bus routes are currently half an hour to an hour and a half, maybe half a day that you're waiting around. We are not the countryside. We're not that far off from the airport. We should have a much faster transport system. So if you can get on top of them to improve that for us, cost of living, improve working and attracting more people to actually be able to go into employment to afford to pay these stupid rates for bus fare, tube, and parking-wise, reconsider all the car parks we currently have, make them affordable and wide enough for your larger cars. I don't know the last time I've been dared to even drive up to the treaty centre, because I dare not scratch either side. It's like doing dodgems.
Thank you. We'll take a note of that. Councillor Groh.
As there's been a lot of questions about parking, in the next meeting, we'll try to bring parking officers here so you can ask them directly.
Yes.
Chair, can you make a note of that, please?
If you could make a note.
Thank you.
Parking on the next one.
I think it will be nice to have someone from our parks team as well as the parking, so we can have the questions. And if anyone would like to leave their email addresses and they can't go online, we can send them the direct email to say we've got an area forum next week, or with the date and the time and the place for September 1. Thank you.
Thank you. I think the gentleman on the front row, if you could just wait for the mic. So just 1 minute, please.
I was just wondering that all of us became aware we had to pay for the parking. When there's a parking free, there's a parking under this building. So, yeah, but still, all of us here, we're paying for this whole building. We've paid for it. So we should, at least for this meeting, we should have.
Even the councillors are not allowed to park there in daytime. We can do in the evening. Mostly disabled people are allowed all day. They can go and park there. Okay, that's only for disabled people. Otherwise, like Councillor Chaudhary said, we're encouraging people to walk or cycle. Yeah.
I think there's one in the second row.
My question is that all the roads have so many holes. All the tarmac has gone. There's so many potholes everywhere. We pay a lot of money to council tax. I just wondered why they're not being filled. Everybody's cars getting damaged, their tires getting. Is this in?
Yeah. If
It's
you
become a big issue.
if you just take pictures of them and email them to your relevant ward councillors, they can get them forwarded onto Hounslow Highways to get them fixed. Like we had one in our ward on Hanworth Road, and it's been redone already. And there's scheduled maintenance to happen around the borough to make sure all the potholes are filled. So if you could just email them in, then we'll have a look at them.
Yeah, can I add on to that?
Yeah.
There is an app called Fix My Street. Download the app, please. And for fly tipping, and they'll be done within 24 hours. And these things, they'll be looked after as soon as possible. Use that. I use that a lot. And they're definitely effective.
Thank you.
Yeah, and there's another, I don't know, we'll go on website and find out. There has to be a certain depth before they actually repair it. Yeah, okay.
Councillor Kiani, need to add to that?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I just wanted to ask, in next meeting, if we can ask the Hounslow Highways to come into this meeting, because a lot of people are asking about the pavements and the roads, potholes. So if we ask them to come here to answer these questions directly to the residents.
Yeah, if you make a note of that. Dad. Hope not. Do you have any more questions? Yeah, Councillor.
Thank you, Chair. I can see a lot of people are complaining of the parking from the central. Luckily, we don't have any resident here from Hounslow East. But I do get phone calls from the residents saying there's a problem of parking, especially those that roads are restricted between 9:30 till 6 p.m. And after 6 p.m., the people from outside do take their spaces. And Saturday is only restricted between 9:30 and 12:30. So if someone goes out for shopping after 12:30, the people from outside will take their spaces. And Sunday, no restriction. So I did ask them that what will resolve these issues. So many has suggested that extending the hours could be something that they want us to do. But in order to do that, obviously one resident has said that I don't have an issue because I don't have a car, so I don't need to park my car. So, but other resident, his neighbors having a lot of issues. So I think we need to have another consultation whether by extending the hours we can resolve these issues.
Thank you. Councillor Mia. Is that okay? Yeah.
So we are in catch-22 situation.
Can we make sure? Excuse me. Hello. Can we make sure all questions please do go through the chair and not in the
I'm just
forum
saying
of
that
open communication?
your solution, give the resident permits, but then give them it without a fee so they can, and family permits. So if they have visitors, giving the 12, I'm not being realistic. Are you telling me in a 365 calendar, you're only going to get 12 visits from the same people? What about your carers? Where about your siblings? No, it's not. Right, so you need to think about how much of a limitation. Is it a case of that the resident doesn't even have to go in and say, I'm getting a family member who's coming to park only for 4 hours? Because some of your books, like Hounslow South, you have to scratch how many hours you're on per day. So that sheet gets used up very quickly. Maybe say to your resident, this is a restricted area for you only, but you can have your visitors. You need to provide them a pass which you can get off the internet, or we'll provide you a little book that you put it in your window, or your visitor puts it in the car window for that date. There's no limitation. That way it's controlled, and the only one at fault for taking up the parking space is the resident or the resident's guest, provided they're not taking the Michael, and you say limited is you can have 2 guest vehicles at any given point. Anything more than that, like a funeral or a function, you have to apply to the council.
Thank you. Start winding up slowly now. If that's the last of the questions. Can I also request all members of the public, there's feedback forms on your chair. If you could all fill them in if you have any feedback for us, and we'll get them collected at the end. Thank you. Moving on to one of the last agenda items. I don't think there's any other business. Which is yes, Councillor. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So as Councillor Kiani and Councillor Gaywal, we've spoke about having Hounslow Highways parking officers in for next meeting. So are you going to be making a decision later if they be able to attend the September meeting, or are we agreeing it that we will request them to come and attend our forum?
We'll contact them and have a word with them and come back to you. But
thank you.
It is noted, and we'll be in contact with them after this meeting and before planning the next one. I think that's all for today. The date of the next scheduled meeting is Thursday, 14th September 2023. And I would like to thank you all for coming. Thank you. And please, the feedback forms, make sure you fill them in. Thank you.